You ever have one of those days? You've got that big, important project staring you right in the face, but you find yourself just scrolling, watching random videos, literally anything else. It's that classic battle, right? What you know you should do versus what's just so easy. Well, what if I told you there's a way to actually flip that switch in your brain? Let's get into it, because we are about to give your mind a serious, serious upgrade. Okay, first things first, and I really want you to hear this. If you tend to choose the easy path, you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined, it doesn't mean you're weak, it just means you're human. This is not some character flaw. It's actually a feature of your brain's operating system, and today we're going to learn how to upgrade that system. See, your brain is programmed to make a really simple choice. On one side, you've got scrolling. You tap the screen, you get an instant little hit of happiness. That's effortless dopamine. On the other side, you've got that hard, meaningful work, where the reward, the good feeling, comes way later. If it comes at all. I mean, which one do you think it's going to pick? It's a no-brainer. So let's start by diagnosing this default setting. We're going to pop the hood and really understand why your brain acts this way. Because once you get that, we can upgrade it from its kind of lazy default mode to a high-performance, basically unstoppable state. Yeah, you can think of your brain as the ultimate efficiency machine. It is designed from an evolutionary standpoint to conserve energy. And what that means is it will always, always default to the path of least resistance. Simple, rewarding things, they get a big green light. Complex, long-term goals, they get a giant red stop sign. All right, let's get into the science of it. There are 3 key neurological reasons that hard things feel so much harder than they actually are. And trust me, understanding these is the absolute first step to rewiring your whole response to them. First up, your brain has what you can call a friction detector. It's a real thing. When you just think about doing something hard, like starting that workout or tackling your taxes, a part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex just lights up. It predicts how much effort is required, and if that task feels too big, the friction level spikes, and your brain basically screams, abort. Let's go watch cat videos instead. But here is the massive plot twist. This feeling of friction, it's mostly an illusion. It is just a prediction. In fact, studies show that once you actually start the task, the difficulty you feel drops. It plummets within just 2 minutes. So the fear of starting the task is the real enemy, not the task itself. Okay, the second big reason has to do with this super powerful chemical, dopamine. Now, a lot of people call it the pleasure chemical, but it's really more accurate to call it the brain's I want more chemical. It's what drives your motivation. It's what makes you seek out things that feel good. And this right here creates the dopamine mismatch that we are all fighting. Easy stuff like social media, it's like a dopamine candy machine. Every scroll, every like gives you a tiny, easy, instant hit. Now, meaningful work also gives you a dopamine hit, a much bigger one actually, but it comes at the very end after all the work is done. So our goal? We have to figure out how to move that reward to the beginning of the task. And finally, your brain is, at its core, a pattern-matching creature. It links things together. So if over the years it's learned to associate hard tasks with feelings of stress and frustration, well, you're naturally going to avoid them. But what if? What if we could retrain it to associate those exact same tasks with satisfaction, with progress, with pride? If you can do that, you'll actually start to crave them. Okay, that's the diagnosis. We know what's going on in there. Now for the really fun part, the upgrade. Let's get into the practical, hands-on toolkit for rewiring your brain and making those hard things actually feel easy. The first tool in our kit is the friction shrinking formula. To beat that initial spike of fear, you have to shrink the task down to something ridiculous. So instead of study for 2 hours, your task is now just open the book. That's your micro start. Then your micro action is read 1 sentence. You know what happens after you read 1 sentence? Your brain goes, hey, wait a minute, this isn't so bad. And that's when momentum takes over. And this is the result. It's beautiful. When you use this little formula, you totally change the game. You stop wrestling with procrastination, and instead you start surfing this amazing wave of momentum that just carries you forward almost effortlessly. Next up is a strategy I love called dopamine wrapping. Remember how we wanted to get that dopamine hit at the start of the task? Well, this is how you do it. You literally surround the hard thing with things that you love. You turn it into a vibe. Put on a great playlist, light a candle, grab your favorite drink, use stationery that makes you happy. When the environment feels good, your brain starts to think the task feels good. Okay, here's an elite level hack. Hard tasks often feel overwhelming because we try to do them in one long, painful marathon session. Don't do that. Instead, use this three-phase cycle. Start with just 2 minutes of low-pressure activation to warm up. Then, hit 8 to 25 minutes of deep work. That's your flow state. And then, crucially, take a 2-minute micro reward. This rhythm prevents burnout and helps you build incredible consistency over time. Now, this is like the advanced version of put your phone in another room. You have to consciously engineer your environment. Every little visual cue can trigger a behavior. So, you remove the cues that lead to distraction. Sign out of those accounts. Create a super minimalist home screen on your phone. Hide addictive apps in folders with weird names. Keep your desk visually empty. Make focus the actual path of least resistance. So, these tools are incredibly powerful. But now we're going for the final boss level. How do we make this stuff stick, not just for today or this week, but forever? This is about shifting from doing something to being someone. I want you to really think about this for a second. We're always told that discipline is the key to success, right? Grit, willpower. But there is something so much more powerful, something that makes discipline almost automatic. The answer is identity. This is the most powerful technique of them all. You have to stop telling yourself, I need to do hard things. You need to start telling yourself and believing, I am the type of person who does hard things easily. It's a small shift in language, but it's a huge shift in mindset. Because once your identity changes, your habits just naturally follow. You don't have to force discipline anymore. You just are a disciplined person. And this is how we make it stick for good, by upgrading the classic habit loop. You have your trigger, your action, and your reward. But now we add a fourth step, identity. After every single cycle, you consciously reinforce the identity. Each time you do the hard thing, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. So here's the endgame. This is how you literally train your brain to prefer meaningful work. You track your tiniest little bits of progress because your brain gets addicted to seeing improvement. You have to genuinely celebrate your difficult wins to teach your brain that hard tasks equal pride and satisfaction. And you build that identity-based habit loop. If you do this consistently, your brain will start to genuinely prefer the hard work over the mindless scrolling. I promise. Your life really truly changes when your brain stops chasing those tiny, empty dopamine hits and starts chasing your big dreams instead. Hard things aren't really hard. They just need the right strategy, the right vibe, and most importantly, the right identity. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to act on, like right now. What hard thing will you make easy today?